Hey, what's going on everyone? Welcome to the video. This is going to be a short recap on Apple using supply and demand. I'm going to go into depth on how I drew out these zones and how I did my analysis. Supply and demand is really the main strategy in my trading, so I think it's super important that I go over this. In my opinion, it provides the best low risk, high reward setups, and it is very easy to define your risk. We're going to start off on the 65-minute. I'll show you how I drew out these zones and how I got my downside targets. And then we will focus on shorter time frames, and I could show you a little bit more of the pinpoint execution and how you could have went about playing this. So starting off here on the right, we have the supply zone up here at 143.09 to 142.5. I used this candle right here, the high and the close. And the reason why I used this individual candle is because this was the last candle before the breakdown. When you guys are doing supply and demand, you want to be looking for those individual candles before the breakout or breakdown so you can be a little more concise and have a little more accuracy with your levels. You could have also used this candle right here. The range was 143.49 to about 142.39. But again, you want to be focusing on that candle before the drop off or before the breakout. So this is how I got my supply zone. When price broke down from here, we were looking at this as overhead supply. Now, how did I get my demand zone? Same exact thing. We had some consolidation and we broke out from this candle right here. So the range was 140.48 and 139.81. And after we formed this area consolidation, this was the last candle before the breakout. So these are the two major zones that I want you guys to pay attention to. And this is exactly what I saw. Now, how did I get my downside targets? This 141.47 was simply this high right here. When price broke above, we used it as support, and this was a major area that we wanted to pay attention to after price rejected supply. My next targets were previous low a day, here at 140.97, and then this area demand. After that, we simply have the gap fill below at 138.59, right here. This was my analysis looking at the 65-minute. You can see how I drew out these zones and how I got these pinpoint levels. Now we will bring it down to a 15-minute, and let's go over the pinpoint execution. Going into the following session, we opened within this range, this 143.09 to 142.5. Now, a lot of retail traders are trying to go long out of the open, not understanding the context of us being in a supply zone. If you are trying to go long at this point, you want to see a breakout and a retest, or that range break at 143.49 clear with strong volume. Obviously, neither happened. We opened in supply and we made a nice move lower. If you are going short in this area, your stop is simply 143.09. You can use a 10-minute or a 15-minute close above, or simply the top of the range. So your risk is very tight and you have a really good setup that you could take advantage of from this point. So from that low risk entry, our first target would be 141.47, and we want to see those 15-minute closes below support and below that upper trend line to get a nice move lower into demand and into that gap fill. So that's exactly what happened. We got those 15-minute closes below. We got a little dead cat bounce, a little temporary relief right off that area of demand. And the following candle, we closed completely below demand. So from this point here, this now becomes an area supply. And when price makes its way back into these areas, we want to be looking to short. When price breaks through demand, it becomes supply. And when price breaks through supply, it becomes demand. So it's very easy to understand. I can now change this to red, and this is now viewed as a supply zone. So we continue to move lower, we make our way into the gap fill, and we had continued selling going into the end of the day. Now fast forwarding a little bit, we are near end of day, and I want to show you this on a 5-minute and 10-minute time frame. I changed this color to red as this is now overhead supply, and I'll show you the pre-market plan that I posted in our premium server. So before open, I posted the chart and I said if Apple gets over 138.60, the lowest risk short entry is going to be between 139.81, 140.40, which was that 65-minute demand turn supply. So I wanted to see price break above that 138.60 and make its way into old demand, which is now supply, reject, and make our way back into that support area. So this is exactly what we got. We broke above that 138.59, and we had some really nice scalping opportunities into that supply zone. Anytime price made its way back into this area, sellers stepped into the market and pushed price lower. You could have played this multiple different ways. The first touch was nice going back almost into VWAP, and then that second touch, we got those two 5-minute closes right below that 140.48. We made our way lower and broke down almost back to that 138.59 gap support, as we can see here on the 65-minute. So this is just the 5-minute look on all the different scalping opportunities. And then now looking at the 10-minute, same exact thing here. We never got those closes above the top of supply, and there were some great opportunities going short from that supply zone. Overall, this was a great play on Apple, and hopefully it's very easy to understand the way I explained it. And you guys really want to be looking for all of these supply and demand zones in your trading so you can find those low risk pinpoint entries with very minimal risk. Now to end the video, I want to go over some key points that I think are super important. First, you want to be focusing on higher time frames. I recommend the 15-minute and up, and you want to be buying more time in your contracts. This will allow you guys to have some flexibility, and you could stay in the winning trade longer if you're focusing on those higher time frames. Of course, you can use the 1 minute, 3 minute, 5 minute for scalping, but if you want to stay in longer, you have to focus on those higher frames. And my second point, have a thesis and stick to that thesis. If you come up with a plan and you want to be looking to shorten supply, don't let anything deter you from that plan. Your stop loss is in place, you know your risk up front, and you want to be sticking to your plan. And my last point, do not let past experiences affect current decision making. This is something that's super important, and I don't see enough people talking about it. We've all had negative experiences in the past, and if you choose to let those negative experiences affect your current trades now and trades going into the future, you will never find that long-term success. Focus on the present, focus on getting better every single day, and do not let past experiences hold you back from growing in your trading career. Thank you for listening, and I will see you in the next video.